traders, Greg here with a market update. Okay, so we have started this week in a relatively quiet fashion and uneventful compared to what we've seen in previous weeks. But of course, there are some meaningful market moves and things. There's always things to talk about. The biggest market move so far this week has been in the precious metal space with gold and silver. Gold ended last week, closed last week, just sub 3,300, and so far this week, we've seen gold, shoot up one way and print a high up towards 3,400, around that 3,392 high so far this week, and that has been on the back of geopolitical concerns. So what happened between Russia and Ukraine at the beginning of the week, where Ukraine had its most successful bombing inside of Russia, where they bombed 40 Russian planes and military sites. So the market has been on edge, waiting for a Russian response, and obviously worried that this response, may be one of the bigger responses that they've seen so far this war. So far that has not happened, and we have seen gold drift a bit lower, back down to around that 33.50, 60 area. But look, just because the response from Russia hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it is not going to happen. That risk is still real, I would suggest, and I'd also suggest to stay long gold. Now, obviously, the key level topside at the moment is that 3,400 area. I'd imagine if it did break 3,400, we're probably going to go up and retest those record highs at 3,500 at some stage. So yes, gold is looking quite good again at the start of this week. But more interestingly, silver is actually doing something quite special at the moment. Silver's actually rallied up to $35. That is, a pretty much a big technical resistance. We're up at near 10-year highs. Silver has well and truly underperformed gold and a lot of other asset classes. But look, a break of $35 certainly, we could see a lot of momentum and a big spike in silver. Silver does, range trade for very long extended periods of time. But when it does break, silver is probably one of the markets that can do the most, work momentum-wise, where you see consecutive 5% days plus, and it's worth noting that the record highs for silver, up around $50, is still 60% away from current market. So there's a lot of catch-up silver to do, and if you have a look at, for example, other markets, equities record highs, Bitcoin record highs, gold near record highs, and silver nowhere near its. So there could be a lot of value being long silver, and certainly at these sort of levels with a potential break of $35, which could happen at any stage, you can't be short silver, must be long silver. It could be a great trade, in the short term. Okay, so moving along, we did get some important economic data out yesterday that's meaningful, and that was Swiss inflation, monthly inflation data. Month on month, Swiss inflation data came out at negative 0.1. So that is the first negative print for inflation since pretty much COVID. So that's 4 years ago. 2021 was the last time they had negative inflation. So in Switzerland, they are looking at now deflation. Core inflation also dropped from 0.6 to 0.5. So that's also moving down towards zero. So what does that mean? It means that in a couple of weeks, when we have the Swiss National Bank, the SNB, meet, they are going to cut rates again. They currently have the lowest policy rate globally at just 0.25%. They're going to take that down to zero. But the market is starting to feel and starting to look at Switzerland returning to actually negative rates. Now, the Swiss franc has been one of the strongest currencies in the currency space in the last couple of months, and the reason for that is it's a safe haven. So ever since we've seen what's happened with Trump and his tariffs and potential trade wars, etc. The Swiss franc has done exceptionally well. But when you have a central bank that has got the lowest policy rate and has actually go to zero and potentially back to negative, at some stage, that's going to create a great carry trade with the Swiss, and I would imagine that we're going to see much lower levels further out for the Swiss franc. So it's just a matter of time. Obviously, if we do get some positivity in what's happening with Trump and his tariffs in the next month or two, that would definitely be a trigger for that, and dollar Swiss certainly would rally in a big way. But the other currency pair that's probably worth looking at is Swiss yen. We've talked about this before. You've got, obviously we just talked about the Swiss SNB dropping rates to negative, but at the same time you've got one central bank globally that still is raising rates, will have to raise rates, and that's the Bank of Japan. And so, we've got interest differentials blowing out in favour of Japan. So Swiss yen, fundamentally on the back of those interest rate differentials, should be trading a lot lower going into year end. Once we see those rate decisions play out, Swiss yen at the moment is trading around that 175 area. The record highs are around that 180 area. So it is at fantastic levels. It's one of those trades maybe if you can put it on with a decent stop and just put it to bed until the magic starts to work. But certainly I think that Swiss yen at some stage is going to work short Swiss yen exceptionally well. So moving along, tariff news. There's some good news, some bad news. Bad news is that the 50% increase, or the 50% tariffs for steel and aluminium that Trump's put on go live today at midnight US time. The good news is that high-level diplomatic talks are happening again between China and the US with respect to trade. We've also heard from the White House that Trump and Xi expect to talk soon again as well. Look, no doubt, I'd imagine that we're probably going to see some positive headlines come out of that. And we have seen equity markets at the moment, US equity markets, quite resilient. They just will not go down. They don't care about anything at the moment. Every single dip has been bought. We're only a few percent away from record highs. And no doubt, if we do get some good headlines going forward with especially China and the US, those US equities potentially could make a run and break those record highs. So let's see on that, but certainly US equities have been just Teflon, amazing performance. Look, finally, just some interesting news is that Trump's company Truth Social has filed a Bitcoin ETF. So if there was any more evidence that Trump is pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, there it is. He's even filing his own Bitcoin ETF. Unbelievable stuff. Look, Bitcoin really hasn't moved too much on that news, but no doubt, look, it is a positive when you've got the President of the United States backing it. Okay, good luck with your trades, and we'll catch back in with you shortly.